Setting boundaries is a vital skill for maintaining healthy relationships. Yet, many people struggle with how to express their limits without feeling guilty or confrontational. As Melissa Urban, author of the Book of Boundaries, states that saying no is not a rejection, it's an affirmation of your own needs. Welcome back to our podcast. In last two episodes, we understood about setting boundaries and we identified our own personal limits. So, today it's time to explore how to communicate your boundaries clearly and confidently. Effective communication is the key to success and healthy relationships in life, in overall life. And effective communication is also the cornerstone of successful boundary setting. When you communicate your boundaries clearly, you help others understand your needs and expectations, which can lead to healthier interactions. At the same time, we have to communicate these effectively so to avoid any misunderstandings because we have, of course, some of the relationships are so close that we don't want uh, to come overbearing or arrogant to them or not available to them. So what are some common barriers that someone may face while communicating these boundaries effectively? Fear of conflict. Many people avoid setting boundaries because they fear confrontation or upsetting others. They just say yes. This fear can lead to resentment and burnout. Guilt. The feeling of guilt often arises when we consider saying no or asserting our needs. It's essential to recognize that prioritizing your well being is not selfish. No need to feel guilty. Lack of clarity. Sometimes individuals are unsure of their own boundaries, making it challenging to communicate them effectively. Self reflection is key to understanding what you need. We have seen in our previous episodes how self reflection can help. We have a very powerful dedicated episode on self awareness, how to enhance your self awareness through self reflections. Let's see some steps to communicate boundaries effectively. The first one is to be clear and direct. Use straightforward language to express your needs very humbly. Avoid vague statements that can lead to misunderstanding. So, for example, instead of saying I need some space, specify I need to leave work by 5 p.m. to have time for myself. We have seen in various episodes like communication, emotional intelligence in relationships, etc. That how using I statements, framing statements with I can help you communicate effectively. So, frame your boundaries using I statements to express how you feel. I feel overwhelmed when I have back to back meetings. So, I need to schedule break in between. Practice assertiveness. Being assertive means expressing your needs confidently while respecting others. Practice saying your boundaries out loud to build confidence. Again, this doesn't mean you have to be arrogant. This doesn't mean you have to use some foul language. You just have to express your needs confidently. Well, anticipate reactions. If you say something to, if you express these things to people, some of may be supportive, but some may react. So anticipate that. Be prepared for various responses. Some people may respect your boundaries while others may push back. Stay firm and remind yourself that your needs are valid. Follow up after communicating your boundaries. Check in with the other person to ensure that they understand. This can help reinforce your message and clarify any confusion. Some practical strategies to communicate. Again, you can refer to our separate episode on communication, on emotional intelligence in relationships, where we have shared many strategies and tips for effective communications. But here are some more. Role playing. Practice boundary setting conversations with a trusted friend or a family member to gain confidence and receive feedbacks. How did you do? How did you say? Did you come out arrogant, or did you come out passive, soft? Take feedback. Use scripts. Prepare scripts for common scenarios where you think you need to set boundaries. This can help elevate anxiety and how to start the conversation, like we do prepare for our presentations, for our introductions, like I do prepare for my podcast in advance. What do I have to say? Normally I do it impromptu, but still I have pointers, and then I elaborate the pointers. So prepare yourself. Stay calm. Approach boundary setting discussions with a calm demeanor. That is actually the number one tip to avoid any misunderstandings. Because if you are not calm, if you are in an angry kind of a situation, that may lead to misunderstandings. Take deep breaths and maintain a composed tone to convey confidence. Reinforce positive behavior. When someone respects your boundaries, acknowledge them. A simple thank you for understanding can reinforce positive interactions. Let's share some expert insight from Gabby Bernstein. She shared in her podcast, she emphasized that setting boundaries is an act of love, both for yourself and for others. And she notes that the more boundaries you set, the more supportive you can be. For me, this perspective reframes boundary setting as a positive action that fosters healthier relationships. We have another listener story. Sunita, she was my coaching client, and she shares her experiences in communicating boundaries. And this is a very personal experience she's sharing, and I thank her for allowing me to share this story in my podcast. As a highly sensitive person, she has always actually been acutely aware of her own boundaries and the boundaries of others. So when we started coaching, I was quite astonished to see that how much awareness she brings. However, communicating those boundaries effectively was challenged. She struggled with for quite a few years, and then she would often find herself in situations where she would feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed, but she didn't know how to express that to people around her. I remember like she sharing her experiences while we were in coaching. She would either shut down or withdraw or would lash out in frustration, and neither of these behaviors led to positive outcomes. So, while we were working together, she learned the importance of assertive communication. We did have a small, even she took a small one-day training for effective communication. So she learned like importance of assertive communication, and when it came to specifically setting boundaries, her reflections helped her understand that being assertive doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. It means expressing your needs and feelings in a clear, respectful, and confident manner. She was very much encouraged to practice assertive communication in low stakes situations where stakes are not high, like asking for a refund at a store or politely declining an invitation she didn't want it to accept. And as she became more comfortable with assertive communication, she started to apply it to her personal relationships. And today she is at much better place than before in her relationships, and at a better mental space, mental well-being. I thank her again to share her story, and with this encourage all our listeners to take that courage to communicate your boundaries effectively. Let's see some self-coaching questions for this episode. What boundaries do I need to communicate in my life right now? How do I typically feel when I think about asserting my needs? What strategies can I use to prepare for boundary setting conversations? How can I remind myself that my needs are valid and important? The last question is very powerful. Reflect on it. Communicating boundaries effectively is a skill that takes practice, but it's one that is essential for maintaining healthy, fulfilling relationships. When we learn to express our needs clearly and respectfully and on time, may I add this, on time. When we do that, we create space for deeper connections and mutual understanding. And please remember, setting boundaries is not about control or manipulation, it's about self respect and mutual care. So, the next time you feel the need to set boundary, do it with confidence, knowing that you are honoring your needs and creating a foundation for a healthier, happier life. Your relationships and your well being will thank you for it. Thank you for joining us today. If you find this episode helpful, like, comment, subscribe, and share it with someone who you think can use this information, this podcast, for communicating their boundaries effectively. And share your experiences with us for our next listener segment. And let's keep this important conversation going on.